Well, good morning. Welcome to the Patrick Henry Building. How many of you, this is your first time in the building? Raise your hands high. Well, you're here for a very, very good, this is going to be a good first experience for you. Thank you so much for joining us on this exciting occasion. Please stand with me and welcome the governor, the first lady, and the lieutenant governor. Listen, I don't override. That's above my pay grade.
Okay, sorry. How's everybody?
Okay, let's do it. I'm Janet Kelly. I'm the Secretary of Health. You may be seated. I'm Janet Kelly, the Secretary of Health and Human Resources for Governor Youngkin, and I'm so honored to be joined on stage by these distinguished speakers and my colleagues, the Secretary of Education, Amy Gadara, and the Secretary of Agriculture and Forestry, Matt Lohr, something that is a testament to how important this legislation is how many elected officials we have in the room. So I'm going to save your applause to the end because there are a lot of you. But joining us here this morning, in addition to the speakers that we will hear from in a minute, are Senator Tara Durant, Delegate David Owen, Delegate Carrie Coyner, Delegate Mark Early, Delegate Eric Phillips, Delegate Paul Mildy, Delegate Ian Lovejoy, Delegate Tim Griffin, Delegate Oates, Delegate Higgins, Delegate Cherry, and Delegate Cordoza. Round of applause. Please stand. Stand.
And Milden.
And who?
Delegate Milden. What do you got? Okay, good.
I said him because I was worried I said it.
Oh, you did great.
Most of you are co-sponsors of this legislation as well, so thank you for all you did to get it across the finish line. I can tell you that every single morning, the governor, Mrs. Youngkin, and the LG, our whole team, get up every day to make Virginia the best place to live, work, and raise a family. That is why you elected them. For today, Governor, though, I thought maybe it would be okay to insert one word, and that is we want to make Virginia the healthiest place to live, work, and raise a family. There are going to be a lot of well-deserved thanks going around the room today, but I'd like to start by specifically thanking the small group of moms who together followed the indisputable science and the only thing that might be stronger and more indisputable than science, which is mom's guts and common sense in order to get this across the finish line. And one mom in particular deserves a huge amount of credit. So please join me in thanking someone who has been a tireless advocate for a whole host of things and truly embodies the spirit of Virginia, Ruse Databoy. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. It is the only thing that ever truly has, according to Margaret Mead. The food industry says that they make what consumers ask for, and today Virginians are sending a clear signal that we want healthier, safer options, especially when it comes to our children. Yes. This morning, we're going to hear from two champions of this bill. There were a lot of them. Senator Emily Jordan from Isle of Wight and Delegate Hillary Pugh Kent, who represents all of the Northern Neck and parts of Caroline County in the Virginia House of Delegates. So please join me in welcoming Delegate Pugh Kent to the podium.
Thank you all so much. Your remarks, Secretary, reminded me of something I didn't even have written, which is a great quote that says, "All great change in America begins at the dinner table." Thank you, Ronald Reagan. Thank you. Today is an amazing day for parents, for teachers, our children, and for the Commonwealth. The story behind this legislation is not the story of one 5-year-old kindergarten boy. It's not the story of one 12-year-old 7th grade girl. It's not the story of one mom sitting at the parent-teacher conference. It is a narrative that we have heard from across the Commonwealth, where students have been taking trips to the doctor because of physical and psychological reactions to artificial dyes in everyday food. As a mom, it's the story that I heard from my fellow moms at the backyard birthday party as parents discussed efforts to protect their children from the effects of the myriad of dyes in our foods. Parents are constantly trying to navigate the flood of opinions, advice, and news of the day from a multitude of sources. These particular 7 food dyes that we are addressing don't have a health benefit. They merely exist to entice children to reach for a splash of color instead of a wholesome choice. A choice that should encourage focus and attention during our very valuable educational, instructional time. Schools across the Commonwealth are already reading labels and making choices on the cafeteria menu. This soon-to-be law will put Virginia as a national leader alongside modern nutritional standards that will lead Virginia forward. In some countries, foods like Fruit Loops are colored with fruit and vegetable juice, including watermelon juice and carrot juice, but a student's cereal choice in Virginia schools doesn't have vegetables. It instead includes 4 artificial dyes, known to cause hyperactivity, among other symptoms. I am grateful in our school cafeterias in Virginia that will soon change. In situations around the state, the food in the school cafeteria may be the only nutrition that a student receives that day. And now we will fuel them to learn instead of fueling students with yellow dyed chips and red dye frosted cupcakes. By eliminating artificial dye, schools in Virginia will set a standard for healthy eating habits that students will have beyond the classroom and that parents support. As is often said, raising a child takes a village. Parents, grandparents, neighbors, aunts, teachers, and the same could be said about passing legislation. It takes bipartisan effort, teamwork. This legislation was championed by parents and professionals around the state, and I want to thank them and the community leaders. I'd like to give a very special thank you to our friends with Rally, Virginia. They truly rallied the General Assembly. Thank you to my colleagues in the House and in the Senate for their bipartisan support as parents demonstrated our children are not partisan. Thank you so much, Governor Youngkin, the First Lady, for your leadership and all that you do. And now it is my privilege to welcome my colleague in the General Assembly and my fellow mom, Senator Emily Jordan.
What a great day to be in the Commonwealth, is it not?
Yes.
Today is going to be about healthy families in Virginia and what we can do to be better in our schools. Special thank you also to the Raleigh, Virginia ladies and all the moms, dads, parents, and caretakers that decided to step up for our children and voice their concerns. Thank you, and you deserve a round of applause. So I never thought I'd stand before you on this stage because oftentimes we say, don't California my Virginia, but Virginia will be the second state in the nation to sign this legislation into law to have the backs of our children to make sure that what we put in their stomachs is healthy in schools. And that is something to be very proud of. But we have to wonder sometimes how we got here. So 35 years ago, in 1990, the FDA decided to ban red number 3 in cosmetics. And we have to ask ourselves why it took 35 years to stand on this stage to talk about healthy children. If we wouldn't put it on our faces, we shouldn't put it in the stomachs of our children. But today is a great day. Not only are we handling Red 40, which everybody talks about, we're going to handle 7 different harmful dyes that cause every single issue, from behavioral health issues to attention and lack of focus in the classroom. We want to make sure that every child that goes to school in this Commonwealth starts with the basis of health in the morning and powering throughout the school day to make sure they can put their education, not their health, and their health first in this Commonwealth. We wouldn't be here today, though, if it wasn't for so many moms and dads that decided that putting their children's health and reading the labels and calling out companies that don't do right by our children mattered. And I'm so very proud to know so many of you in this room that decided to do just that and put your children first. Also, to our partners, thank you to all of our secretaries, Secretary Laura, Secretary Gadara, and Secretary Kelly, for your steadfast leadership in making sure that we can get this across the finish line and make sure that it's doable in our Commonwealth. Who we work with and who we partner with matters, and we could not ask for better partners in education, agriculture, and health and human services than these 3 right here. And certainly, not last but not least, you can't do this without great partners like Delegate Pugh Kent, but also an incredible First Lady Suzanne Youngkin and our Governor, Glenn Youngkin, for having the courage to sign this legislation today. With that, I was proud to be the sponsor of the Senate legislation, but really, I'm just a mom on a mission with all the ladies that are here today. And with that, another mom that has been a fighter in the trenches, that has been a warrior on the dais from our Senate, who is a Marine and shows it steadfastly every single day in our chamber. Even sometimes use a heel to gavel in when she can't find her gavel. And is truly a fighter for families and children in our Commonwealth, our Lieutenant Governor, Winsome Earl Sears.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. That was so wonderful of you. Well, hello to you too. You know, as we gather here today, we mark a significant step forward for the health and well-being of Virginia's children. I'm reminded of this passage, and it's Psalm 136 and 25, and this is what it says: He gives food to every creature, his love endures forever. And I'm thinking that the food that they were talking about was good food. It was healthy food. It was nutritional food. And, you know, we're lacking that, and that's why we're here today. These verses are very powerful, and they talk about not just growing our children in their body and their mind, but also of their spirit. So we are living today in a time when there are so many chemicals in our foods, and we're removing the barriers to their health and stepping boldly into responsibly feeding our school children food that harms, no, food that helps their development. We are choosing to protect, folks, what is precious. We are choosing love in action. You know, I am thoroughly convinced that by not ingesting these foods, these harmful chemicals. You know, we have burgers that refuse to disintegrate. Even mold will not grow on them 5 years later. We also have cosmetics, as you've heard, although 30-some years ago they were deemed harmful. Some of them, these dyes are still with us. They harm even our hair products. And now we're learning of microplastics. Yes, and what we have to do to get rid of them. So, with the signing of House Bill 1910 and Senate Bill 1289, we are taking bold, common sense approach to ensuring that the school meals our children have are free from these synthetic food dyes. And they've been linked to cancer-causing allergic reactions, and we wonder, why are the children so hyperactive nowadays? They weren't, when we were in schools. And yes, food either helps or harms, one of the two. So I'm offering my heartfelt thanks today to Senator Jordan, formerly delegate, and now Delegate Pugh, and of course Governor and the Secretariats. Thank you all very much for being a part of this. And of course, those in our audience who voted for this, in fact, unanimously. Thank you all very much. Yes. And yes, I too want to make sure that we give credit where credit is due, and we want to start with honoring you all from Raleigh. Thank you all. Raleigh, Virginia, you rallied us. Absolutely. Parents, you stood up, you showed up, you spoke out, you brought the science into the spotlight, and you reminded that we must protect, again, the health of our children. You've heard me already say at least 3 times, 4 times now, the health of our children, it's important. We need, of course, to continue the fight because we've still got other things in our food. And like you, I do love my snacks. And, I know I ate a few just the other day, and I said to myself, this is not good for you. But still here I am. So I know it. We have the convenience of these snacks, and they have long shelf life. It's not good. And just to give you some facts, the Cleveland Health Clinic has warned that red dye 40, one of the most commonly used in school snacks, has been linked to behavioral changes. And in another, published by the Henry Ford Health Institute, they found clear associations between synthetic dyes and potential cancer-causing compounds. And even more concerning, ladies and gentlemen, a comprehensive review from the Journal of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and Ohio State Health and Discovery concluded that children with ADHD or other behavioral challenges are especially vulnerable to the effects of artificial colors. So, as these studies show us time and time again, these additives are not simply harmless ingredients. No, they are chemical compounds. They are chemical compounds. I'll say that, chemical compounds that affect learning, development, and life health outcomes. And that is why today's action matters so much. And it is my honor here to bring forward to you, and please stand, someone who is so instrumental to this fight, and it is our 74th Governor, Glenn Youngkin.
Thank you. Well, good morning. And now that you've gotten all of your deep knee bends in, thank you all. There's a lot to celebrate today. I want to start with the primary purpose for why we are here. And that primary purpose is sitting around the room. And I want to thank every single young person that is here who's taken time to be with us today as we go to work for you yet again. Would you all please stand up so we can give you a round of applause? Thank you. Iowa White Elementary School, Petersburg Middle School, Vernon Jordan, I think, is here. Vernon Jordan School's here. King George High School, nutritional teams from Isle of Wight and Waynesboro, students who are leading the future farmers of America, who we see all over the place. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming. I want to just add a thanks and just rearrange the seating up here. And Ruse, you should be up here with us. And so Ruse the attaboy, come on. Come on. Come on, I want you to sit right here. Right here. Come on, right there. If you haven't understood this, parents matter. Parents matter because parents have a fundamental right in the Commonwealth of Virginia to make decisions with regards to their children's education, upbringing, and care. And it is exactly that which we are celebrating today. That parents came together and said, we need healthier food. We care about the nutrition of our children, and we are going to get artificial food dyes out of their food. Thank you. Amazing. I knew this was going to happen, one, because we have extraordinary patrons of both bills. And when these two women go to work, let me tell you, things happen. But I also knew it was going to happen because our administration jumped right in. And I want to thank our secretaries again and your entire team jumping in. And then I saw all of the co-patrons on the bills. And I said, wow, this is definitely going to happen. But really, at the end of the day, it wasn't until I saw women, moms in red jackets all over Capitol Square, advocating, educating, informing, and making sure that these bills got through committee, made it to floors, received the right support. And before you know it, here we are for our very first formal bill signing of this entire legislative session, but I believe one of the most important bills we will sign during this administration, removing harmful artificial food dyes from our children's food in our schools. This is a big day. And it also speaks so clearly into a basic message. Yes, parents matter. Parents matter in the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's your voices that we go to work every day to reflect, because there is one truth, that when you are engaged in your child's life fully, when you work with us to support the education of your children, the health and well-being of your children, the safety of your children, then we can collectively move mountains. That's also on full display today. What we know is that these artificial food dyes, these harmful chemicals that are injected into our food, cause problems, real problems. And therefore, we are making a statement as well, no more. We are going to work to make sure that our children's food, the food that is served in our school cafeterias across the entire Commonwealth, are healthier, that represent an opportunity for our students to get engaged in that food delivery service, from gardens on school campuses right to those tables, from our agriculture community that wants to supply healthy food to our children. That is also on full display today. This is a moment for us to again say that Virginia does not follow, we lead. We lead. We listen and we deliver. And that is what Virginia is all about. It is the spirit of Virginia, alive and well. I can't tell you how really humbled I am to see the gathering here, but also to know the work that went into bringing us here today. And it is all being done so that our children will have the greatest opportunity to fulfill their God-given destiny right here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and to do it healthily. And with that, I always say, when we get to the most important moment of the day, I ask, what time is it? It's time to go to work. Let's sign these bills. And I would love for all the kids to come up. Doing okay? Yeah. Let's go.
Yay! So exciting! Very excited.
I got a little while with my razor. I'm well, sir. Listen, you certainly become popular down in my part of the state because you
Right here, don't let me forget it.
Stand right here. Come on up. Stand right here.
What's up? What's up? What's up, girl?
That's good. I like that.
It's so good to see you.
Just start talking now.
So first of all, again, I want to thank everybody for coming, and really quickly, just for quick civics moments. Bills don't just come by themselves to me. They start with an idea from the people who work for all of you. They go to a delegate and or a senator to get started, and they say, we'll carry this bill. They have to go to a committee, and that delegate or senator has to defend the bill in committee. And finally, it goes to, let's say, the House floor. And the House votes on that bill, and assuming they vote unanimously yes, like they did for these, it goes over to the Senate, and once again, it goes back to a committee. And then the patrons have to, again, go defend the bill in front of that committee. And if it comes out of committee, it goes then to the Senate floor. And if it passes unanimously like these today, it shows up here on my desk. And I have the great opportunity then to sign great bills. That is what we're up to today. And so thank you, everybody, for being part of this entire journey. You had the original ideas, you sought out patrons, you showed up in committee hearings, you walked the halls and advocated with General Assembly members, you showed up in our offices, a lot of you, and helped us understand all of the facts around these dangerous artificial dyes. And so this is a moment not just for me to sign a bill, but for all of us to celebrate this amazing process, this process of passing important legislation that makes Virginia better, because all of you are engaged. And so with that, my wife is saying, get on with it, honey. So here we go. So I'm going to start. There's two bills. One, of course, came through the House, and one came through the Senate. And so I have the privilege to be signing Senate Bill 1289, patroned by Senator Emily Jordan. This bill prioritizes the health and well-being of Virginia students by addressing the potential negative impacts of synthetic color additives that may be served in school meals. Public elementary and secondary schools will stop serving any food that contains any of the 7 specific color additives, which are blue, green, red, and yellow. By signing this bill, which was brought to my desk through grassroots advocacy of moms and dads across the Commonwealth, we recognize that our schools play a critical role in fostering healthy habits, and this bill supports a safer and more nutritious school environment. By the way, do you know who civic genetics? That's who's like gunners.
In case there was confusion.
Okay, that's Senate Bill 1289, and now I get to sign House Bill 1910. And the great thing about House Bill is it does the same thing that the Senate Bill does. It protects our children, it removes these dangerous artificial food dyes from food in our school cafeterias, and it makes a very clear statement that we are for the safety and healthy lives that our children must have. And we also can foster those healthy habits and have a more nutritious school environment. Now I get to sign House Bill 1910. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an exciting gathering, and I so look forward to continuing to work together to make Virginia not only the very best, but also the healthiest place to live